This is Michael Citron with the Parrot Real Estate team at RE/MAX. This is our 13th episode of hashtag Ask Michael Monday. I'm truly excited to get a great appraiser that I've known for many years, Robert McDaniel. I appreciate you coming out to our office and being our 13th episode guest.
My pleasure.
I wanted to introduce Rob because a lot of misconceptions in the market about appraisers. Are they friends? Are they foes? I really like Rob. He's a great appraiser. I go to him with a lot of questions on unique properties to get his perspective, and I thought he would be a great asset to our series of speakers. He's our third speaker. We've had an appraiser, we have a mover, and now we have, and then we had Joe before, who was a lender. So a little bit of introduction, Rob. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your experience as an appraiser?
Sure. Got into appraising in 1986. I've been doing it ever since. I do a couple other things as well, but appraisal is my main thing, and focus on residential appraisal. My geographical area has basically been Broward and Palm Beach County for the entire 32 years.
Wow. So you've been an appraisal for a long time. That's great. Can you explain the appraisal process? How does it work from start to finish? How long does it take? I think a lot of people don't know how much time goes into appraisal, so can you explain it to our audience?
Sure. Just to clarify, we're talking about residential appraisals today, so nothing commercially related. Generally, an appraisal, you can do about one residential appraisal a day, and that includes going out to see the property, driving the comparable sales, your research before you go out, and then there's the writing up when you get back to the office. So I'd say you can do one a day.
Wow.
So the process is become more involved in at least recent years because of the housing bubble. You know, once that occurred, the lending institutions and the feds wanted the appraisals to be more not restricted, but more more comprehensive and more inclusive of data. So.
Okay, that's definitely. I know after the Dodd-Frank Act,
which is 2010.
So they changed.
Things changed.
Everything changed.
Everything changed.
What qualifications must an appraiser have?
Okay, this is actually becoming a problem because the qualifications are very onerous now. They were a lot different when I got into it. Back when I got into it in 1986, all you had to do was get your real estate license. So there was no such thing as state certification for appraisers back then. You got your real estate license, and you just needed somebody to train you, and you could do appraisals. Well, now you have to have 200 hours of specified education. Wow. You have to have a 2-year, a minimum of 2 years, 24 months, in which you have to spend at least 2,500 hours doing appraisals, and you're pretty much getting paid low wages when you're working for somebody else doing this. You have to take an exam, and now you have to have a 4-year college degree.
Wow.
Didn't used to have that. So what I'm seeing now when I go to my recertification classes, you as a realtor have to take 14 hours every 2 years. We have to take 30.
Wow.
I like to take them in class rather than online. I go there and the appraisal industry is graying. In other words, we're not seeing a lot of young people in these recertification classes, and it's because it's becoming so onerous to get into it. The powers that be know that this is a problem, and they're working on it, trying to make it less difficult to get into it. But right now, those are the qualifications. You wanted to start right now to get into it, you would have to have all those things.
Our real estate friends out there, realtors, I wish for the restrictions and requirements for realtors. We get a lot of realtors out of the business if those were the requirements.
Well, I will give this caveat. The people that don't have this but have been in appraising for a long time, they were grandfathered in.
Okay.
And so you might get an appraiser and this guy's a college graduate. Well, maybe not because of when he or she got into it. But now, to get into it now, you have to have a 4-year degree.
Wow. Who orders the appraisal, and explain how the appraisal is truly an independent evaluation of the home value?
Okay. This goes back to the Dodd-Frank legislation, which went through in 2010, as we've already discussed. They wanted to make it so that the appraiser couldn't be pressured by the lender or by a mortgage broker. So what they did is they put in between the lender and the appraiser what's called a management company. So our appraisals are basically ordered through what's called a management company. So the lender goes to the management company and says, I need an appraisal done on XYZ Main Street, And so the management company has a panel of appraisers in that geographical area. generally on a rotational basis, the appraiser, maybe they have 4, maybe they have 6, 8 appraisers on that panel, and one of those on that management company's panel gets selected. The lender does not contact the appraiser. This is for independence, so that we're not unduly influenced by a commissioned mortgage person. So we're contacted by the management company. We do the appraisal. The appraisal goes back to the management company. They do some scrutinizing of it. If it's okay, then they send it on to the lender. So really, the appraiser doesn't have any contact with the lender anymore, where before we used to have direct contact with the lender.
Yeah, I've heard some debate about that being good or bad, but it's definitely an independent valuation. I get that question a lot. It truly is. Question is, how long is an appraisal good for? A lot of people talk about their buddy around the corner that sold their house, and how long is an appraisal good for, and how long is a comparable good for? Somebody will say the guy around the corner sold their house for X price, and now I want to sell my house for that price or more because he got that. So, double-ended question: how long is an appraisal good for, and how long is the comparable that you're using actually good for?
Right. Well, generally it's up to the lender but generally 6 months max is how long an appraisal is good for. But most lenders, if the appraisal is over 3 months old, they're either going to order a new appraisal on that property, or they're going to have the appraiser that did the original appraisal do what's called a recertification of value. In other words, go back in and make sure the market conditions are the same as they were when you originally appraised it however many months before, but generally 6 months. Same thing with the comparable sales that we use to value a property. That's our main way of valuing a property, is using other sales within the market that have sold that are hopefully similar to the home you're appraising. Usually they don't want those sales and appraisal to be more than 6 months old. Wow. Now, in certain situations, maybe due to lack of comparable data, you can break the 6 months level, but if you do, the appraiser's got to give a detailed explanation to the lender why they used a sale that's in excess of 6 months old.
Wow. So understand that out there, that when you obviously think about selling your house, and your friend down the street sold maybe even in October or November last year, that comp might not be worth what it is, or it might not be able to be used because it's beyond that threshold of that particular lender's guideline. So that's a good question to know that answer. Now, people talk about upgrades. I go into houses and I did all this. I did $100,000 in improvements. What is considered an upgrade? And please explain how upgrades affect the appraisal's final value. I think that's a really important question for people that are done a lot of work to their house or considering doing a lot of work to their house.
Sure, and I get that question a lot when I go into a house. They're like, we did all this work, does it count for anything? I'm like, listen, if it matters to a buyer, it matters to an appraiser. Does it matter to a potential purchaser that you've remodeled the kitchen, remodeled the bathrooms, and upgraded the flooring? Of course it does. Well, it matters to an appraiser too. So what they've done, and this is in relation to the Dodd-Frank thing as well, since that time we base the home, the condition of the home, on the Uniform Appraisal Data Set. So they have 6 categories that an appraiser that a home is rated as far as condition goes: C1 through 6. Okay. C1 being the best, C6 being the worst. Okay, so I'm just going to read one of the categories for you. C3. Okay, because this is what I get most. This is what most houses are that I appraise. This is what a C3 home has. The improvements, that is the home, are well maintained and feature limited physical depreciation due to normal wear and tear. Some components, but not every major building component, may have been updated or recently rehabilitated. The structure has been well maintained. Okay. So that's a C3, and that's what most homes I run to in. Now, if a home is more highly updated, maybe it's got new windows and it's been completely remodeled, that's going to slide into the higher category of a C2. Okay. So if your house is a C3, and I'm using a sale where the house is given a C2 condition rating, and I base that condition rating on what I see in the MLS generally, because I can see lots and lots of pictures of the home in this MLS, then I have to make a downward adjustment to that comparable sale. But the thrust of the answer is this: yes, your upgrades matter. If they matter to a potential purchaser, they matter to an appraiser. So perfect. You're going to get rated based, your condition of your home is going to get rated partially based on the upgrading that you've done. So it's a great system. A lot of sellers and realtors might not know that. I get this question: how can a home be appraised for the most amount of money? Well, that's what I get every time. And just make it the best, most presentable you can, because the appraiser is going to make his condition judgment based on how the home is represented or presented when he or she gets to the home. So make it the best presentation that you possibly can. And it could be the difference between you being in C3 or C2 condition rating, and that affects going to affect the appraised value.
I think people get a misconception of the value of an appraiser today, and I always say that we come with, I call it an ammunition of information for the appraiser, because the appraiser, he or she might not know the area that well. We get an upgrade list from our sellers with the amount that they spent, the date they put each upgrade together. So we get a survey, which I think I see the tape measure or the new technology to measure a home. I think that it's important to give the appraiser as much information as possible. Again, an ally, not an enemy. The more information you give, the better chance that they're going to be able to use that information to make an informed decision on what their opinion of value is. And so we come with everything we can to give that a valuable opinion. Would you say that when agents are coming with comps, should they bring comparables? Should they bring their opinion? What do you find?
I like it when realtors bring comparables. For one reason, I want to see if we're on the same page, we're thinking in the same way. Now, I know sometimes the realtor brings the comps and the appraiser rejects them and says, no, I can't look at those. That's a misconception. We state right in every single appraisal that we do that we rely on information from others. Okay? And you're the expert in the market. You're there every day. The appraiser's there once, twice a year maybe. So we have to rely on your expertise. So by all means, bring the comps. Doesn't mean I'm going to use them, but I'd like to look at where you're going and where you're thinking. And I've had a lot of times where the realtor brings really good comps. So we're on the same page. But I've also had times when they've brought comps that I had to toss them. They weren't any good. So, but yeah, by all means, bring the comps, especially if you're in a neighborhood where there's limited sales. You know where the alternative subdivision is. Where are the buyers going that aren't buying in here, but would possibly buy in here? Where are other subdivisions that are considering? Well, you know that because you market the area continually. Whereas I might struggle to know what the alternative subdivision is. So by all means, bring comparables, especially if there's limited comparable data in the subdivision where your home is located.
We have great success with appraisers because sometimes that happens in certain communities. We were appraising a house in Tall Pines in East Parkwood not too long ago, and that question came up for the appraiser. And he clearly asked that same question. I don't know this area that well. And he asked for other communities that were as close as, maybe apples to apples or apples to oranges. Right. And we were able to give that information. Ultimately, it was favorable for our client, and it ultimately appraised, which was great news. That segues into, is an appraisal the only indicator of current market value? Some people think, is appraised value market value, or is market value market value? How would you answer that question?
Right. Ultimately, the market is going to determine what your home is worth. This is the analogy I always use. You go to the grocery store for your weekly grocery shopping, and you're out of cereal. You need cereal, so you go and you don't even look at the price. This is the cereal you like. You just dump it into the shopping cart, and that's it. Hey, if it's on sale that week, great. But even if it's not, you're putting it in there. That is not how people shop for homes. Mm-mm. People comparatively shop because this is a huge financial outlay on their part. So they're seeing, hey, what else is available? What has sold? And this is the whole reason that appraisal works, is because people comparatively shop, unlike they do for cereal. And nobody's going to go down to the other grocery store down the street to see if they can get the same cereal for a little cheaper. No, but they do that with houses. That's why appraisal works, is because people comparatively shop. So
the market
is going to ultimately determine what your home is worth. All the appraiser is doing is he's reflecting, or he's communicating to the lender, this is what the market says the home is worth. He's not giving his or her personal opinion on what the house is worth. The market is determining the value of the home, and the appraiser is just interpreting the market.
Based on the trends.
Based on trends and based on mostly what homes have been selling for and what they're currently offered for.
Correct. We also got one question late here in the game. Two houses next to each other, same square footage. One is a 3-bedroom, one's a 4-bedroom. In general, is there a financial upside to the 4-bedroom over the 3rd-bedroom for an appraisal perspective?
Okay, the short answer is it depends, but let me elaborate on that just a little bit. It depends on the buyer profile of the neighborhood. For instance, when I'm in Coral Springs, which is very family oriented. My family, I mean, there's all different kinds of family, I understand that, but I'm referring to the traditional family where there's parents and children.
Sure.
The 4th bedroom in Coral Springs is very important. If I'm appraising a 4-bedroom home in Coral Springs, I make sure I don't use any 3-bedroom sales if I can at all help it. And conversely, if I'm appraising a 3-bedroom home in Coral Springs, I don't use 4-bedroom homes as comparisons, because what's going to happen is I'm going to overvalue the 3-bedroom home, because that 4th bedroom, because of the buyer profile in Coral Springs, is indeed going to get a premium. Even if the 2 homes, the 3-bedroom and the 4-bedroom, are the exact same size with regard to livable area. So it depends. Now, if I'm on the east side of town, the 4th bedroom doesn't matter so much. I'm not concerned if some of my comparables don't have the exact same bedroom count on the east side of town, because the buyer profile is different. It's more aged and more singles and things of that nature. So it doesn't matter as much there.
Great. I mean, we could have a whole day of Ask Michael Monday with Rob. I think it's a great asset to have you not only on our show. I appreciate you coming on, but I also appreciate all the help you've given me over the years. Rob and I used to have offices right across from each other, and I used to come in there, hey, Rob, I need some help here, and he would give some help. And a couple sellers I would have that were, maybe thinking their houses were worth more money, I would bring Rob out for another unique, appraisal perspective, and it really helped make myself look like the asset. And that's what we're looking to do, is provide value. If you have any questions, if you're thinking about selling your house, if you're thinking about refinancing your house, you need a perspective of what market value is. So ultimately, when the appraiser does come, when Rob or an appraiser like Rob comes, they're going to have this plethora of information from the listing agent to the real expert in your neighborhood that's going to be able to give this information to you to help make an informed decision on what your house should be listed for, what it ultimately sell for, to meet the appraiser, to give them that. I mean, appraisers are taking 3 to 6 hours plus to do appraisals from start to finish. Wouldn't it be great if they had that information and know that market knowledge from somebody who's selling their house? That sold many houses in the neighborhood. So I appreciate the insight. I learned a lot. I even these questions that I get from a lot of our clients as of late. I mean, thank you so much. I mean, it's made me a better agent. So I appreciate you coming on. The show is great. If you have any questions, please give us a call. If you want to know what your home value is, please go to our website, myparklandhomevalue.com, or give us a call. If you want to get your house appraised before you put it on the market, or you want to know what it is, or you're thinking of refinancing, or just want to get an independent appraisal value, I can certainly provide you Rob's contact information, and he can come out and appraise your property. Thank you so much. Have a great evening with your family and a better week. Thank you.